Our relationship with our finances is one of the most practical and life-impacting relationships that we have. We need to regularly check in to ask ourselves how we feel about money, what we're getting out of it, and what we hope to ultimately achieve with it. So, in other words, it's important to do a regular financial self-assessment. And the way that I like to do this is to have a money date with myself on the regular. It's a time where you can check in on your finances, access your status, and just figure out your next steps. So here's how we start. We're going to get dressed up, pour yourself a glass of wine, and have all your paperwork, your statements, your tax return, any receipts, any passwords, and a calculator at the ready. So this is going to be fun. Remember, you've escaped an abusive and controlling relationship, so you can handle anything. And if you can only handle 20 minutes facing your finances and you want to come back to it another day, that's cool too. This is your life. You do you. If you're not sure about something as you go through this, write a list of questions, and after your money date, you can spend a bit of time learning more about what you need to know. No one's expecting you to have all the answers or understanding from the beginning. This is a process, and one that before you know it, you're going to start looking forward to. So start by asking your date a few questions. What are you looking for right now? Are you having fun? Are you enjoying things one day at a time? Or do you have bigger goals? Needless to say, everyone's financial situation is unique. So don't feel bad if you're going through a situation where your financial goals are just focused on the here and now. You still need to put in place short-term money goals to get through this time. Even if you're not in a financial tough spot, during your money day, it's important to ask yourself what you want to get out of your money on a regular, daily basis. Does being financially secure mean having enough in your account not to stress over buying a coffee? Or does it mean having enough in the bank for a new handbag or a kitchen appliance? Or are you looking at ways to save for a particular goal, like a car or a holiday or a special course? Understanding and clearly writing out what you want to accomplish in the short term will help you tweak your spending and saving plans accordingly. Now, the next question on your day is going to be, what do you ultimately want from money? What's the end goal? Now, be honest with yourself. Are you okay if things don't change? Where do you see yourself in 1 year or 5 years or 10 years down the line? For starters, try the following questions. How can I use money as a resource to fuel the life I want? And then ask, how do I want to use money to take care of myself and others? These two questions help you to manage your money in terms of needs and desires, not out of anxiety or obligation. They help us to remember that though the future is very important, we don't want to sacrifice all of our happiness in the here and now with the idea that we're going to get around to enjoying life someday in the future. Brainstorming and deciding where you want to be financially in a few years allows you to not only put it out to the universe, but to also have a clear long-term financial goal. When you have a vision for where you want to be, it's easier for you to backtrack to where you are now and determine the measurable steps you need to take to get there. The next question for your day is to ask yourself, do you know where you currently stand financially? It's time to get to know your situation intuitively and objectively. When was the last time that you did more than just glance at your total available balance? Has it been months since you dug into the details of why your balance is the way it is? Have you done an audit on your current subscriptions and your automated bills to make sure that nothing is awry? Is there a credit card that's a better fit for your spending habits? And what about your current credit score? Do you know what it is and how it might be impacting your ability to get a loan? There may be trouble areas you're not even aware of until you sit down and carefully examine this finance stuff during your money date. So reviewing the current status of your accounts will really help you better assess not just where you stand, but how you feel about your finances. So on with our day. The next thing to ask yourself is, are you currently enjoying your relationship with money? Are you happy with things as they are, or are you looking for something better down the line? If so, what does that relationship look like? Getting into the nitty-gritty details about your finances is important, but it's also crucial to reflect on your emotional relationship with money. Does merely thinking about your bills and spending habits fill you with anxiety? Or are you a frugal person by nature? If so, is it because you've always been that way, or is it because you're afraid you won't have enough at the end of the month? Or is it to do with the trauma you've experienced? When you do spend money, what about it brings you joy? Now, next thing to ask is, does something need to change for you to be happy? So what needs to change in order for you to have a healthy relationship with money? Once you've determined where you stand in your relationship and you've pinpointed your problem areas and focused on possible solutions, ask yourself, what changes would you need to happen to bridge the gap between where you are now and where you want to be? This applies to both short-term and long-term goals. And if you're stumped on where to make changes and smart money decisions, don't worry. During your money date, review these 4 categories. What do I owe? What do I earn? What do I own? And what do I spend? While some of these questions might be easily answered, others might just take a little bit more digging and analysis, and that's okay. Just be sure to not overlook the how in your relationship. It's not just about what you're doing, your list of tasks, but it's even more important to think about how you're doing it. Now, don't aim to cover the entire scope of your financial health during your first date. You wouldn't dive into everything on a first date with a person either, would you? Start small, be consistent and be gentle with yourself. The more we push ourselves into an emotional red zone, the more likely we are to abandon our efforts down the road. So try to make it doable and even enjoyable, and remember to reward yourself afterwards, hence the wine. And once you've spent some time asking yourself these questions on this first day, use this checklist to plan for the next one. Maybe you need to check your credit score report in anticipation of the next date, or research any support or benefits that you might be entitled to. Maybe make a plan to tackle your credit card debt, or review the status of your student loans, which are usually higher for women, would you believe? Calculate your cost of living in anticipation of the next day, and review your plan for retirement. Maybe open a smart savings account with an online bank, or look for ways to start investing your funds or making money. You could also spend your time between dates finding ways to save on your regular bills and subscriptions, or meal prep your way to extra savings. There are even lots of ways that you can do a spending detox and have a no-spend month. We all know it's key to have regular date nights, so make it a point to schedule a regular money date with yourself. It's on these dates that you'll be able to continuously check in with what you want and whether you're on track.